Marcus Aurelius wrote this book about 2,000 years ago for his own guidance, right? So it's only natural for humans to stray off from focusing on their main objectives and goals and to start thinking about other things, get caught up in life, children, in his instance, wars, running an entire empire, or the world's largest empire at the time. So he wrote this book never knowing that it was going to be published. It's pretty impressive. He just as a guide for himself to say, hey, Mark, you're getting off track here. Let's get back on. It's got a lot of interesting topics. It's divided up into 12 books or chapters. They're not in any particular order because he didn't plan on publishing it. It picked up the name Meditations actually probably a couple hundred years after it was found, and everybody just kept calling it Meditations and really enjoyed the read, but it really is essential for business. The book discusses many topics as it is a philosophical book. I'm a big philosophical buff and I'm a big antiquity buff too, so that's probably why I read it once a year. As you can see, it's got some mileage on it. However, it does talk about many broad topics. One of the big main topics of this book is avoiding indulgence in sensory affections. What the heck is that, you ask me? It's basically like keeping up with the Joneses is more of a common expression. This really does apply to business. I practice this myself. It's huge. I see people who, I see people that don't even own a business. They make about $80,000 a year and they go and buy a $120,000 car. You are now a slave to that car. So living below your means is very, very important. I like to give the example of an oak tree. If you plant an oak tree, it's not just going to perform and grow all on its own. You have to support it. You have to nurture it. You have to make sure that it does grow. And eventually when it grows old and it can provide you shade and you can sit back and relax, and then you could show the Joneses who's boss. But until that point, it's very, very important to keep your costs and overhead down. Forget about the Joneses, because most likely when the Joneses close their front door, they're fighting and complaining about bills and money and all that good stuff anyway. So definitely keep profits up, overheads down. Another big topic is how rationally and clear-minded people can live in harmony. And this is true, especially in business. And it's so important overall for sleep. I mean, if you can't sleep if you don't have a clear mind. It's just the way the world works. I have that issue myself where you're about to go to bed and your mind's running a million miles per hour, because entrepreneurs and business owners, and in this case, emperors, I mean, your brain is being ripped in 10 million different places. So it's very important for you to relax, get a clear mind. Don't focus on 50 million things at once, because that's going to cloud your judgment and you're going to make a bad business decision. The most prominent theme of this book would be maintaining focus and avoiding distraction while keeping your morals and being morally just and good in the world. Now, I personally believe that morals are extremely important to business. They are different than ethics. Just be aware of that. We could have like a 7-hour-long video discussing the differences between ethics and morals. It's something that philosophers have fought over for years. The first mentioning of these terms was that ethics was Greek, morals was Roman. They both basically meant the same exact thing. Even now in today's day and age, they're used interchangeably, but there is a difference. Morals are what you feel is right or wrong. Ethics are rules created by bureaucrats to regulate an industry. It does vary based off of which industry. 99.9% of the times, if you're running a moral business, you're just going to naturally comply with the ethics side of it. They do go hand in hand. However, there is a difference in some industries. One example would be my industry, the insurance industry. The insurance company is not obligated to pay every claim for a client. So say if they deny a claim, they're not being unethical. It's business. However, some of it can be considered immoral. That's where the broker comes in handy, and that's why I think we're such a success. So a subpar broker would just say, hey, it is what it is, and that is all I could do. A par broker would try calling the insurance company and fighting the denied claim, but the insurance company usually tells him to take a hike, and it is what it is, and he says, hey, I tried, that was all. Then you have the real broker or the moral broker, such as myself, that is literally going to set the world on fire and scorch the earth to get the claim approved. Raise hell, phone calls, emails, doing everything that is possible to morally protect and serve the client. That's just an example of how morals and ethics do vary, but by being morally obligated to your clients and providing the services that they hire you for, just shows you how success just naturally follows. You know, this book also, there's an excerpt in here. I was trying to find it, I couldn't. But there's an excerpt in here that discusses the differences between motivation and aspiration. And it's so informative because if you're motivated in business, you're not going to go anywhere, right? Because motivation, you just care about the final goal. Most people who are motivated want to make money. Hey, let me start a business. I'll make a ton of money. Never happens. But aspiration, which is just super powerful and necessary in business, I don't care how much money I make. I care about the product that I service or that I sell or that I deal with. And I love what I do. And when you have that mentality, when you're aspirated about a product that you're dealing with, because that's what business is, and you love what you do and you serve it with a passion, money will follow because people will see that and they're willing to pay you for it. So, like I say, give it a read. It's an incredible book. I read it once a year to keep myself on track. Marcus Aurelius, I don't know how many times he read this thing, but I'm assuming on a daily basis because to run an empire is much, much more difficult than running a business, and he had one of the most successful empires ever. If you like this video or the book or anything about this, click subscribe below to let us know that you're actually watching and you want to see more videos. You could also check out our playlist down below. We have a list of small business videos that review products, that go over information and reviews.